In the past couple of years, we posted more than 1,000 short-form videos. This allowed us to generate more than 150 million views and grow an audience of more than 460,000 followers. And in today's video, I'm going to break down for you the same exact strategy that we use and that we teach to all of our clients that allows us to never run out of viral content ideas. So let's get straight into the video. Here are the two winning strategies that we use to post unlimited content that actually gets you views. So as you can see right here, these are just some of our best performing videos. And as you can see, we got upwards of 40 million views on one single video. If you're new here, we are Create Content Club. We have a personal brand of more than 460,000 followers. And thanks to that, we were able to scale our business to more than 6 figures in our first year in business with absolutely zero paid ads and zero cold outreach. And nowadays, we're able to collect payments just like this on a daily basis, thanks to the content that we create. With that being said, our goal with this channel and with the videos that we create is to provide as much value as possible for you and help you implement the same systems that we use for our business into yours so you can generate upwards of 6 figures just through content alone as a method of acquisition. Now, I also do want to mention this system simply works, okay? And not just for us. These are just some of our clients, and as I'm speaking, some of these followers counts are probably even higher because I didn't update the screenshots, to be honest, but as you can see, 300,000 followers, 66,000 followers, 500,000 followers, and the list goes on and on. So all of this is just to say the strategies that we teach actually work. So pay attention because what I'm going to give you in this video is really, really valuable. And we were actually, just thanks to our skill of content, we're able to work with companies as big as Guess, a fashion brand, a business that generates $3 billion per year, billion with a B. And so as you can see, this is us literally in their headquarters, giving them a speech and a live workshop, training their social media team, because again, the stuff that we do just works, and even companies as big as that understand that. So with that being said, I also do want to mention real quick, if you want our direct help to help you scale your business with short-form content, you can just check the first link in the description. Here's how we find unlimited content ideas. This is of course like the question that a lot of people ask us, because at the time that I'm recording this video, we have more than 1,000 posts out. If you consider also all the content ideas and everything that we help our clients with, I probably can't even count the amount of videos that are out there that we created or contributed to create. And so how are we able to do this? What we use is content repurposing. So the idea, the concept of starting from other pieces of content that already perform well. At the end of the day, this is an approach. We have a very logical and a very standardized approach to creating content, because at the end of the day, we're a business. We want to create content in a very controlled manner. We want to add a reliable source of acquisition to our funnel. The way that we approach it is very logical, and it's from the perspective of market research. So what is market research? Market research is a fundamental part of understanding what you should be doing before you actually go out there and promote your business. What better ways and what better way to up your chances of making content that perform than to base yourself off of what people are already doing and are already watching, consumers are already watching on that very same platform, okay? So that's our very first approach, and that's the very same mindset that we use and we try to teach to all of our clients, which is, again, we want to build a reliable source of client acquisition, and we want to have logical, simple, and structured ways to be able to actually create content that performs. And so the way that we approach it is from the very logical perspective of the market research approach. And so we actually go into the market and we see what are people consuming. This should be the main thing that you focus on. On your platform, whatever it might be, Instagram in this case, literally the same thing applies for any other social media platform. Look at your feed. Look at your Explore page, at your home page, like what are people creating? And now, of course, I'm going to give you now more specific steps in a second when I'm going to go through the strategies, but this is the fundamental idea behind how we approach this. These are the two exact strategies. So I'm going to break them down step by step. These are like very applicable, tangible steps that you can take today to start getting results when it comes to this. The second strategy, I do want to mention this in advance, is the superior one. This is because we are going to leverage content that you already create. But of course, because of that, you already need to have content out. So I'm going to still break down two different strategies. One that starts from, okay, I have a blank page. I need to start making content. How do I do that? How do I find content ideas? Not only a blank page, to be honest, because the second strategy I would say applies if you have at least let's say 50, 100 posts out, something in those regions. From there to above, I would highly recommend you apply the second strategy. Now, it will actually always be a mix of both, and you will see what I mean by that in a second. But the second one is just really the most powerful one, the most effective one. Even though the first one is always where you start from, and so it's still incredibly powerful because it's literally the way that we start with any of our clients when they come to us and they're like, okay, guys, I need to make viral content. What should I do? Let's get started with strategy number one. And strategy number one is competitors analysis. So again, we're basing everything off of market research, so analyzing what's actually working. This will be how you create your first viral video in 5 simple steps, okay? So even if you're already creating content, but you have nothing that performs, this is literally for you. This is what you should be doing. The first step will be to find medium-sized accounts in your niche. And again, I'm going to break down literally numbers because that's what we like to base ourselves off of. Because otherwise, everything always seems kind of intangible in social media. It's like, you should find viral content ideas, but it's like, well, cool, but what is a viral content idea, okay? And so we want to break down clear numbers for everything. What we usually focus on are medium-sized accounts. So let's say 50,000 to 500,000 followers. Now, the reason why we give this range, it's because usually these are the best examples of people that have a solid audience and know how to create good content, but at the same time, they are not simply famous creators followed because of their name. This is a very important distinction. It's the reason why, for example, we tend to always put an upper limit. And this, of course, like depends on the kind of account, but this usually gives you a pretty good ballpark because the idea is someone has, let's say, 1 million followers, 2 million followers, 10 million followers. It's most likely more going to be a public personality, someone that's just recognized because of their face. The stuff that performs for them will not necessarily perform for you because they are known for their face, while you're not if you're just starting out. But even if you have a pretty good sized account, like for example, even us, most people don't know us, even if we have almost 500,000 followers now. This is why we want to focus on these ranges. Now, a little bit more than 500,000 is fine. A little bit less than 50,000, for example, if your niche is a little bit smaller, it's completely fine. The point being just giving you an overall range. Again, this is a little bit flexible. The idea is just don't go with someone that has 1,000 followers. Don't go with someone that has 5 million followers. This is the idea when it comes to finding and spotting the right accounts that you should focus on. Of course, this will be based on like just doing some research on your Explore page. So again, like when it comes to like going back 1 second, right here, okay? If you go on your Explore page on Instagram, on your For You page on TikTok, whatever that might be, the content that you should see on the account that you want to upload content in should be in your niche. If it's not, then you should start consuming the content inside of your niche so that the algorithm adapts and starts showing you content in your niche. So that way, you know, cool, this is content that the algorithm is pushing right now. And so most likely you're going to easily spot creators that are big in your niche. With that being said, let's move to step number 2. So once you found these accounts, what do you want to do? And again, I want to be very logical, very number-based. Our approach is finding viral content ideas, so finding outliers. How do we find outliers? We usually look at 5 to 10 times the average views of that person. Okay, so that for us is a viral content idea. Anything above that, of course, it's more than welcome, but it's a little bit less likely that you're going to spot that. I want to just like do this exercise real quick live with you. So this is a screenshot that I took from our profile. And so it's like, cool, I'm doing content research and I make content on content marketing, what we do basically. So I find our account, how would I take this approach? So of course, if we're talking 5 to 10 times the average views of this person, I would be like, okay, I need to kind of define what the average views is, okay? It doesn't have to be mathematically perfect, okay? This is just like a ballpark to have an idea. If I look at videos and I already kind of like exclude the outliers that I'm going to spot, it's pretty easy to spot, but I'm going to still like do this exercise live with you. I'm going to see that it's like, okay, 12K views, 20K views, 12K views, 33K views, 14K views, 16K views, 24K, 33K, 18K, 15K. So it's like, okay, cool. On average, I would say we get right now 15 to 20K views. Cool. Now, this is probably a good content idea, 400,000 views. This is probably a good content idea, 140,000 views. So as you can see, this is approximately, let's say, a 5x, and this will be approximately, well, a little bit more than 10x actually in this case. So it will be more of like a 20x. So these are outliers. There's clearly something there. There's clearly some interest that people have shown towards these content ideas. We are going to focus on these pieces of content. We spotted our viral content idea. What's the next step? The first thing will be to identify the format. And for format, what I mean is just how is it visually presented? How is the information presented? For example, in this one, it's a carousel, as you can see right here. And in this one, it's a talking head video. So it's actually me talking directly to the camera. It could be something even a little bit more different. So let's say a board presentation, okay? So what I'm doing right now, you see me as a small circle on the screen, and I'm presenting with a board. That is also a format. It's a different way of presenting information. It's not a talking head because it's not just me looking straight into the camera and talking. Hopefully you understand the concept. The idea of the format is literally just how the information is presented. Another very common way of doing this is a conversation, either with you and yourself, so you just clone yourself and you have a conversation between you and another clone of yourself, or with someone else, so for example a podcast. That's another way, another different approach of presenting information, which clearly, again, it's not just a talking head, because it's not just you looking at the camera, looking at the viewer and talking to them, okay? And so you really have to identify what is the format that they used. Now, the second step will be to write down the hook. By hook, we just mean the first few seconds of the video. And this is really, really important. You have to write down both what they say, okay, and also what you see on screen. Because keep in mind this, and this is crucial. For the most part, these social media platforms have videos or photos. So what you see is as important, if not even more important, than what they're actually saying. And so people oftentimes, when it comes to the hook, really focus on what people are saying in their script. And so it's like, okay, cool, what is the first sentence that comes out of their mouth? Or what is the first thing that's written on screen? But they don't consider the context. If I say something and I say it like this, sitting at my table, it has a certain effect. If I say that very same thing, but I'm hanging off of a skyscraper, of course it will give you a very different feel. And so that's crucial to consider whenever you're trying to find a content idea and know how to recreate it the right way. Because if you don't take the context of what's visually appearing on screen, then you might miss a crucial point that actually got people's attention. And so this is really important. This is a starting point. The approach that we have is that we want to start by recreating the same hook and the same format. Now, let me handle an objection that most likely you might have in your head right now, which is like, oh, but I don't want to copy people. And this is the last thing that we want to do. Like, that's not what I'm telling you to do. Because at the end of the day, okay, if you really look at this from a very simple and logical perspective, what is the hook? More often than not, of course, like here we are considering creating educational content. More often than not, the hook is just the topic of the video. So how am I going to attract your attention? Most likely I'm going to say something along the lines of, oh, here's how you can solve this problem. Or here's how you can get this amazing benefit. Of course, this is a very broad generalization of hooks, but I hope you get the point. The idea is, what am I copying really there? Because they just mentioned a topic, and probably the way that they mentioned, the way that they talked about that topic caught people's attention. So it's clearly a great way of packaging information. And so I want to start by the same approach. Now, the take that I'm going to give on that topic is completely unique and mine as an expert, okay? Of course, that's the key point of all of this, because we don't want to just copy people. Let's take the example of content. So let's say that someone says, oh, to go viral, you should use hashtags, or hashtags are the best thing in the world, whatever. That's their hook. And clearly people are interested in hearing about hashtags. I might leverage the same hook and then give my own take. And my own take might be that hashtags are absolutely useless. And that's my actual take, but that's besides the point. The idea is that's literally just a topic. Your take could be the opposite of that person. And so we still want to leverage that very same hook, because clearly it was a nice way to capture people's attention. The spoken and the visual hook. So what they're saying and what's happening on screen. And of course the format. So also how the information is presented, because that also plays a huge role. If this, which is a carousel, I did the same exact thing, okay? So I said the same exact thing in a video. It could go viral still. It's, that's also a possibility, but it's not a given, because it's a completely different format and a way of presenting the information. And so if people appreciated this, why not also doing a carousel on this topic? These are the two main points. This is really the first starting point. Now, of course, the second part, last part, let's say, of this strategy will be to actually fill with your own take. So this will be your script. And there are a couple of tips that I can give you on this. which are keep it dumb, okay? You want to always say things in the simplest possible way. And another principle that's really, really important is the value per minute of the video. This is a crucial concept. A lot of people, when they're just starting out, tend to over-explain. And so here's the thing. If you can say something with less words, do so. That's a crucial principle. Now, I also do want to mention real quick, you can let us know in the comments below, or in general, you can just like let us know if you want more in-depth videos on scripting. So of course, like here, the goal that what I want to focus on the most is finding the viral content ideas. So I'm not going to go too much in depth in this because it will be an entire new video from scratch. But of course, if you're interested, just let me know and we can also make a video on that. This is the whole first strategy. And this is literally what you should be doing for your first 100 videos. Like literally, I promise you, this is like the best possible approach that you can take when you're just starting out. Take this strategy, do this thing for 100 videos. This is also really important. Don't over-obsess or over-analyze data. Don't try to like spot, am I doing things right? At the beginning, you just need data and you need volume. As you can see, our approach is very data-driven. It's very logical. Because again, we're business owners. If we want to just like turn this into a solid acquisition channel, we need to approach this from a logical perspective. Like we are not here to just make creative stuff. Of course, like if you can be creative in the process, that's awesome and you can add that on top. But our goal is to just like get results. And so our approach for that is start and post 100 videos with this strategy. That's it. That's literally all you need to do for the first portion of starting to create content. Once you get to that point, then we get to the second strategy, which is, again, well, as I mentioned before, what we consider to be the superior one. And this is the concept of repurposing your own best content. This is the simplest way to guarantee views by leveraging what your audience is already watching. Because here's the thing. If your audience already liked a certain topic or a certain video, then it's very likely that they will also like another video that you create on that very same topic. The concept is a little bit more complex than that. I'm going to break it down in a second. But the idea fundamentally is if you made something and people liked it, why not doing something similar again? And again, this is because we approach it from a very logical perspective. Here's exactly how we're going to do it. The first thing will be to identify your outliers. So fundamentally, we're translating the same strategy to your own profile. So these are the content ideas that your audience already liked. So by leveraging them, you have the highest chances of going viral again. Finding viral content ideas from other people, it's awesome because most likely you're talking to similar people because you're in the same niche. And so it can perform well for you as well. But what's even better is just basing it off of the specific audience that you built. Because then it's like that very same people that like that piece of content, you're serving them another piece of content they already showed interest in, okay? And so this is the most powerful strategy. So what I would do is I would literally, once we have these 100 posts out, I will open up my profile and I will start spotting the outliers. And now keep in mind, this is also really, really, really important because now you might be thinking, cool, but I posted 100 videos. If this is your case, awesome. I posted 100 videos, but I don't have like 1 million views. I don't have 300,000 views. Now here's the thing. Your outliers are just like that multiplier. So they don't necessarily need to be hundreds of thousands of views. Now, of course, when you're just studying other people's content, don't go with outliers that, you know, are 1,000 views and their normal videos get 200 views because then most likely that's not even a big creator, so that you did something wrong there. But on your own content, of course, like here I'm showing you the example of our content, and our content is to a certain level because we have a lot of experience by this point. Like this is literally what we do for a living. This is what we're specialized in. If you're starting out and you're just developing this new channel of acquisition for your business, then maybe your average views is 500 views. Awesome. That's still a great and awesome starting point. I promise you that. Your average views is 500. If a video that you post gets 5,000 views, you might think, oh, no big deal. It's not like a viral idea. But that is because it got you 10 times more than the average views that you normally get. So you should probably double down on that specific video, on that specific format, on that specific topic. Again, I'm going to show you in a second specifically how I would approach it. The idea being you want to spot outliers, and when you're analyzing your own content, outliers are anything that has 5 to 10 times the average views. This applies even if your average views are not that high. Okay, so this is really, really important because a lot of people also misunderstand this. Let's do this on our content. And so I actually already selected them, so I can just show them real quick in the next step, honestly. I'm going to break down how we approach repurposing this content because there's a very specific strategy for that. Here's the thing. The first thing that we're going to do from this content is similar to what we were doing to the other portion. It will be writing down the hook, the format, and the topic. So I already pre-selected okay, these videos that were some of the ones that performed the best in the screenshots that I selected. And I already wrote down everything when it comes to this. So let's just go through it real quick. Hook, format, topic. Now, the hook of this one, it's a carousel. So the hook is really just what's in the first slide. How to plan a full month of content in 30 minutes. The format, it's a carousel. That's how we will visually present the information. The topic is content planning, okay? So it's planning your content calendar. Topic, in this case, what I mean is just like more the general and broad outline of what the post talks about. Now, this one, hook, hold versus new algorithm. Format, carousel, once again, and then topic, the difference between the old and the new algorithm. Now, the hook of this one, for example, this is actually a video, it's not a carousel, and I wrote it down, is this is the easiest way to create cinematic videos. Now, this is a talking head with a physical prop. I also wanted to add a little detail there, especially when you go with more standard and basic formats. It's interesting to also add some points, as I was mentioning, you know, of like what's happening visually. And so in this case, there was a physical prop, let's say, that was my phone. I was pointing my phone at the camera right there at the beginning. The topic, how to make cinematic videos. Now, I could go on. Now, I think you get the point by now. The idea is you can literally just build this big table with all of this information with your best performing videos. You can do this anywhere. You can do this even on Google Sheet if you want. You don't necessarily need to be as pretty as this presentation that I'm doing. The idea being just you have written down the hook, the format, and the topic of your best performing videos. What are we going to do from this? We are going to mix and match. What do I mean by that? Now, of course, the simplest thing that you can do is just recreate the same video multiple times. And that, for sure, you can do. But the problem with that is spamming the audience, okay? Eventually, like, I could make multiple videos like this. We actually did, funnily enough, because this video right here, so this is kind of a coincidence. I didn't even do it on purpose, but this video right here is literally the same exact video that we already did in the past and that performed well. And so we were like, okay, cool. You know what? It's been like 6 months since we last did this video. Let's do it again. People liked it. Why not? Okay. So this was fundamentally word for word the same as the original video. And that is something that you can do, but it's very limiting, as I said, because it's like, and as you can see, like for example, the original video of this one got us, if I remember correctly, more than 1 million views. This got 140,000. So it's like eventually formats die out, eventually videos die out, eventually the audience get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. And this is where this strategy of the mix and match comes in and actually really helps you a lot in taking this up a notch. You can recreate the same stuff multiple times across, you know, just spreading them over time, but that is very limiting. So that's why we introduced the mix and match. Now, the idea of the mix and match is we don't necessarily know which of these three elements was key for the video or the piece of content to perform. And so we want to mix and match to find that out. And so we want to take all of our outliers, okay, and mix and match hook formats and topics. So let me give you a practical example of what I mean by that. I know that this performed well, and the hook was how to plan a full month of content in 30 minutes. And I know that this performed well, and it was a talking head with a physical prop. How about I try to make a video in which I hold up a calendar to the camera and I say, here's how I would plan a full month of content in 30 minutes. Interesting. That could work. We might find out that the combination of this specific hook that performed really well and the specific format of the talking head with a prop actually ends up performing really well and maybe even better than this one. I hope you start understanding the strategy and I can give you some more examples and also with the topics, okay, because this is also really important. Cool. How to plan a full month of content in 30 minutes perform well. The topic is content planning. So probably there is some interest around the topic of content planning, how to plan your calendar or how to plan in general, like what you're going to post. I could try and mix and match also and try different combination of this topic. So let's say I make another carousel and this time I might be like, how to plan your entire year of content in 3 days. So I just change up the hook a little bit. The topic is exactly the same and I probably would stick to the same format at least. Then I would test it out also in different formats, but that would be my starting point. Of course, like you want to start by changing the least amount of things possible or combining the least amount of things possible because the less variables you have, the easier it is for you to understand what made this perform well. So in our case, this is something really interesting, but right now we are posting, as you can see, a lot of carousels. And every single time we post a carousel, it performs like crazy, okay? All of these are carousels as a format. And so we were like, cool. After 10 times that we posted carousel and they performed like this, we were like, probably the variable that's making them perform so well is the format, which is the carousel. People are appreciating carousels a lot. So let's do more carousels. Oftentimes, actually, this stuff, like what you see in the first slide, is hooks that we actually took from our previous videos that perform well. And so you can see how this literally unlocks unlimited possibilities, unlimited opportunities to create viral content ideas. Because as soon as you have a little bit of volume of content created by that first strategy, and by the way, you should always still like mix. You should always still introduce new ideas by studying other people in your niche, that 100%. But a good portion of your content should play on leverage this idea of just repurposing stuff that already work, because it's incredibly powerful. It's the most powerful and closest guarantee there is to you getting views over and over again. And so again, I could give you another example. I could take this, I don't care what your niche is, do this, and turn it into a carousel. I would put this as the first slide. I don't care what your niche is, do this, literally, just like that. This is a video on how to make cinematic videos. There's some interest in this topic. I could make a carousel. I could make, maybe another talking head in which I talk about making cinematic videos, but I don't start with this hook, So maybe it's not, this is the easiest way to create cinematic videos. Maybe it's like, here's how I will create a cinematic video in 30 minutes. Okay, so I also just do kind of like a partial mix and match of another hook that I found to work. Hopefully, you get the hang of the strategy. I could literally go on, even just, as you can see right here, this is really why it's so powerful. Like right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posts. And already, I can tell you there are so many combinations that I could come up with. And these are 5 posts. So I promise you, if you post 100 videos, 99% you will have 5 outliers. You can see how powerful this is, because then most likely, by doing this test, I might find out, again, what we found out, for example, right now on carousels. Carousels right now are performing like crazy for us. And so once we understood, cool, it's the format right now that's working incredibly well, let's make tons of carousels on tons of different topics. And let's squeeze the most out of this thing that our audience is clearly appreciating. Hopefully you see now the full picture. This is an incredibly powerful strategy. I cannot stress this enough. It's literally what we base all of our content off of and what allowed us to get millions and millions of views and more than 460,000 followers, because otherwise, let me tell you, we would not have been able to post more than 1,000 times. You literally physically cannot find 1,000 different topics, 1,000 different hooks. So it's always playing with a mix and match of all of this. This is literally the entire strategy. I do want to mention real quick to wrap up the video that if you want to work directly with us to scale your business with content, you can check the first link in the description. In there, you will also find some of our amazing client testimonials. So if you also want to just check out some of the results that we're able to get for our clients, you can find it there and you can book a call directly with us. And with that being said, I'll wrap up the video and I'll see you in the next one.